Good afternoon. Welcome to Penn's Perspectives on Company Roots. Today, I'm interviewing Austen Li, a senior in Wharton and the vice president of the Wharton Consulting Club. Thank you for coming on today, and it's a privilege to interview and connect with you. My name is Suresh Shasti. I'm a rising freshman at the Wharton School, and I'm from Homedale, New Jersey. The first question that I always ask is, what are your roots, and how do they help you in shaping your ideas and becoming the person you are today?
Sure. So I'm from the Bay Area, California, and I lived there my whole life before coming to the East Coast for school. And I think that that part of growing up, as well as like my parents immigrating from China and like raising us in the U.S. as like first gen immigrants, was a big part about where like I came from and where a lot of my ideas are from. And so I feel like being from the Bay, where there's like, I guess, a lot of focus on innovation and things like that, and also from the immigrant perspective that my parents had, really helped shape like the way I view the world.
And so, what was your childhood like, and how has your background, as an immigrant, like specifically I'm assuming you are from Asia, immigrants. So, how has that
Yeah, so
impacted?
I was born in the Bay actually. It was my parents that moved for to the U.S. for grad school.
Yeah. So, how has that upbringing as an immigrant really impacted you at Penn?
I think that there's a very good community at Penn where you can find people from of all different kinds of backgrounds, and so I think that like a lot of my close friends happen to share similar like backgrounds, and I guess that I don't know why, but I think maybe because there's similar shared experiences or similar values that maybe brought us closer.
Gotcha. And kind of going into your role in the Wharton Undergraduate Consulting Club, every great organization has an incredible team. So, what qualities does your team look for when recruiting for the club?
As a bit of a correction, I was the vice president of the advisors committee last year, and then this year I'm the president of the club. So in terms of recruiting, I don't really handle the recruiting now because that's done by each of our different committees. But as a VP of advisors last year, I think that a big part about what we looked for, aside from the fact that you have like that kind of problem solving mindset, and you can kind of tackle a problem from a lot of different perspectives and quickly get an idea of some possible solutions or what's next steps to take. Aside from the technical skills, I think that we really value the community aspect of the club, and really value kind of people that will contribute to the kind of social and community of work, rather than just the pure like work output.
Gotcha. And for prospective club members, how would you describe the atmosphere of the club, and what do you think is the biggest benefit of being part of the community?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the biggest benefit would, I mean, I've, that is like the one student organization that I've stuck with throughout my time at Penn. And that's because I've had a lot of close friends through that organization. And because that they do such a good job of kind of bringing people together across all these different committees. It's a pretty large club, but there's committees dedicated to kind of facilitating that kind of interaction between the different club members, and you do work really closely with the committee that you're on as well. And so I think that being a part of that kind of tight-knit community gives you a really nice network, and it gives you a lot of people that you can rely on. And it, especially as like a freshman or a sophomore going into Penn, not knowing as many people, for example, it's a good community to join.
Gotcha. And kind of transitioning into some more personal question, what is the most interesting class you've taken at Penn, and how have you applied some of those lessons in your life and through your consulting experience?
That's a good question. So I think one of the more interesting classes I've taken at Penn perhaps hasn't really been applied in my consulting experience. So I study finance and computer science. One of the computer science classes I took was NETS 212, which is like scalable cloud computing. And I took that as a sophomore and I found it super interesting. I was way out of my depth, but I think that I've learned a ton from that class. And the final project was we had to build like a replica of Facebook and have like the back end and the front end and everything, and like algorithm to find friends and everything. So it was super challenging. I stayed up late a lot of nights for that, but I think that class was super rewarding because I was able to learn a lot and apply a lot of what I learned in that final project.
That's really cool. Um, and so, you're in the computer science department. How would you recommend double majoring in Penn for people that are interested in it? And how challenging was it?
So yeah, so I took a bit of a different route. I'm not double majoring. I came into Penn as an undergrad at Wharton, and then I was going to get a minor in computer science. But I found I liked computer science so much that instead of double majoring, I'm submatting. So I'm submatriculating to get a computer science master's.
Okay.
And so I will be getting an undergraduate degree in finance and then a master's degree in computer science.
Wow.
But it's weird. I'm not sure what the policy is going to be going forward, but it's actually pretty similar, or like Wharton compared to the engineering school as an undergrad has fewer requirements. So I think that it's a bit easier to kind of manage the schedule that way rather than double majoring, because in the masters the requirements are purely just computer science classes, while in the undergraduate there's a lot of different other requirements besides just like pure computer science electives.
Yeah, gotcha. So my next question kind of goes on your time looking back at Penn. So, in 10 years when you're looking back at Penn, what are some of the little things that you're going to remember about your time?
That I think that there's probably too many little things for me to I think like it depends on the situation. I think like there'll be some time where I just think of something that because I think a lot of small memories are just in the back of my head, but I wouldn't be able to pull it to the forefront unless something sparked that, right? But I mean, I think like there's a couple memories. I think that there was this one time freshman year, so I lived in the quad, and it was a super sunny day, and my friends and I had just finished this like insanely hard homework for Sys 160, and we were just the day was just starting, and it was super sunny, and so we were just chilling in my friend's room. That's something that I'll remember for a long time. It's like a really good feeling.
Yeah.
And then also like this year, this and last year, my friends and I got a house off campus on Delancey. And so being on top of the roofs of the houses and just watching like the sunsets and everything that's another little thing that I think I'll always remember.
Dang, that's something for me to remember. If you could have a sit-down conversation with any one person on Penn's campus, who would it be and why?
Probably the president, because I never have seen her or met her, but I hear a lot about her.
Wow. And yeah, Penn is like a huge school, but I feel like most people would have seen the president.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe I just study my room.
Yeah, maybe. I haven't seen anybody because I'm virtual, but
Yeah, that does hinder that quite a bit.
yeah, and that kind of leads into my next question. With the pandemic keeping all of campus activity virtual right now, how would you recommend people maximize their time exploring Penn and the community here?
I think that clubs would definitely be a way to go. I think that like not even just the clubs that like you apply to, right? There's a lot of like clubs that you join without needing an application, and I think that finding like club people that you relate to or something that interests you and joining that club would be super valuable in this time, right? Because all of these clubs are still doing their best to try and kind of maintain that kind of community virtually and have these different activities, and being a part of like a group that you can identify with and hang out with and get to know better is something that I think would be super valuable.
Yeah. My last question is, what one piece of advice would you give to current and prospective Penn students, and how would you recommend they start the process of becoming, a Penn student?
Um, that's a good question. Uh, so I don't know what makes me or anyone a Penn student besides, like, I don't like. There's nothing besides the fact that you're at the school. At least for me, I feel like that like every Penn student is different,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that one of the important things that you can do is just to kind of focus on what you're interested, and like challenge yourself to kind of take some challenging courses that perhaps um, people or your friends haven't taken before but you find interesting, right? And perhaps, like, I think that at Penn there are a lot of kind of popularized views of like a career path or course path and things like that you should take, and it's good to kind of get advice from people, but it's also important to kind of learn for the sake of learning and do what you find interesting. I think that's super important.